Hey guys, it's Jan, Not a Real Farm. So here we are at the red walking onion patch. And now it's time to take all of these off of here. As you can see, they're actually all sprouting on top of the vines and on top of the seed. So they're going to shoot out actually more onions if I don't cut them. Look at this. Take a look at this cluster. So this is what happens. So if I just left this alone, this would grow a whole new set of onions on the top. And so these are very viable. So we're going to be cutting these ones, and they're pretty much all doing the same thing, sending out more and more onions. And this is why I say you'll never be without green onions if you have walking onions. This one is the same. So we've got to take care of all the seed. Leave some for next year because we'll want to make sure that we've got some to share again for next year. So let's harvest these. When I want to harvest these, I simply just take scissors and I just cut just below underneath. And then I actually leave the cluster sometimes together and let it dry before I take it apart. And there we go. So it's cut just on the bottom of the stem. Now you can eat these little green onions at the top if you want, or you can simply snip them off if you're going to be replanting them somewhere else. Wow, look at that. I found these ones sort of down at the bottom of the bed here, and it's probably a good thing that I found them because at the end, this one had already dropped off, which means the walking onions would have actually been starting to grow in the ground beside the bed instead of inside the bed where I want them to grow. Amazing. Same with this one here. They just, once they start dying, they start leaning over your bed. So you got to watch that. Otherwise, you'll be starting a whole new walking onion patch and you won't even know it. Ah, here we go. Here's another good example. Check that out. So now we've got one patch here, and then the other patch was actually down here, almost touching the ground. And that's how easy it is, because these ones are absolutely ready. They'll just fall right off and they'll start a new patch. So time to cut these ones for sure. Take a look, there's one patch here, and then look what fell on the ground. It's a good thing I came back here today. All right, so I've only really cut the first front row of onions, but I found something here that's really interesting. Look how big these ones got. And then at the bottom, these were already starting to root into the garden. These ones are a lovely size. So you can get some really nice big walking onions where they almost look like you could pickle them if you're looking at doing stuff like that as well. But you gotta watch them. Oh, and look at that. That's how easy it is to lose it. Look at all those onions in there. All right, let's take these guys off. These guys, as you can see, have already sprouted. So you just basically trim them off and then replant them in another spot if you want. If you do want to separate them, you basically just pull them apart like this. And then they just look like a regular onion. And you go ahead and replant. Wow. See if I can get these apart. Yep, there we go. See how easy they are to detach? And then you simply just plop them right back in the ground because they're very viable and ready to go. Take a look. Awesome. Toss those in there, and then we'll go after the big guys here. I'm thinking it's the rain that really gave these guys a lot of their size. Normally, they don't necessarily get this big, but that's okay. Like I said, you can pickle them if you want. Or you can chop them up and use them in a salad. So as everyone knows, what we do is so I'm tossing actually some of these back in the garden because I do want to regrow some more. But we will be putting all of this seed that we're collecting today up on the store. Look at that. And it's just ready to sprout. It's unbelievable. Okay, it's awesome. This doesn't want to let go. There we go. You can tell this is actually ready to just plant, not only because it's sprouting, but also because the onion skins are really dry on it. So it is ready to plant right away. What I love about these onions is you don't even have to fertilize them. Just leave them alone and let them do their thing, and you will be rewarded with a ton of onions. I think this is the ugliest grasshopper I've ever seen. He was underneath one of my planting trays, and I don't know, this one looks kind of mean. What do you think? So now that I've picked these, what I'm doing is I'm actually cutting down a lot of the green onion stems. And so what happens is once they get in seed making mode, the stems aren't necessarily as chewable, I guess if you want to call that, as they used to be. And I actually cut some so you could see. So they become hollow. You can see right down inside of them, almost woody-like once they start producing seed. So you have a couple of months to have some really fresh green onions, and then seed making mode, they kind of turn sort of woody. So just for those who are curious as to what happens after you pick the seed, this will now die down. You can trim this or whatever you want to do in the springtime because your new onions will start appearing. So the next question I always get about walking onions is, what about the bulbs in the ground? So if you want, you can actually pull the entire bulb out, and it actually has a really nice, almost like a shallot color to it. And hopefully you can see that because the sun isn't really helping me right now to show you, but they're sort of pink, almost like a purple underneath. So you could take this bulb if you wanted. Now, granted, once you pull it out, obviously this one isn't going to produce you any more onions for next year, but they're definitely really great to cook with. Clean them up, take the skin off, and you can use them to dice them just like regular onions. As a matter of fact, let's take a look here and see what else I have. Here we go. See how they have that nice pink sort of purpley color? So go ahead. If, let me just adjust this. If you feel that you've got too much green onion and you're really looking for something more with a shallot bite to it, then you can also clean these up and use the bulbs that have already been established in the ground. Go for it. So here's 4 of those onions all together, and they do have a fairly, medium-sized bulb. So since I picked these, I will be using them tonight in dinner. So just wanted to share with you basically that we are harvesting all of our red walking onions today. This is only from one patch. And if you have any questions about them, please feel free to pop them below. See you soon.